One of the best matchups of the season kicks off Thursday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers are visiting the Detroit Lions in a battle for the NFC North. Jay, you are our resident NFC North expert. What do you like about this matchup, and who do you got?
I'm an expert on all divisions, Justin, just so you know.
I apologize.
I'm taking the Green Bay Packers. Detroit is depleted on defense, and there's only so many people you can bring in. Jamal Adams off the streets eating hot dogs. I mean, you can't bring these guys in and play the Green Bay Packers, man. Last time they played, Green Bay dropped 4 or 5 balls. Jordan Love threw a horrible interception. It's not going to happen again. They dropped a snap. They were just off kilter for whatever reason. Not this time. Jordan Love is rolling. Loves to play on a fast track on turf. We're going to get going and take it to the Detroit Lions.
At home. You're going to Detroit. It's a crazy place to play. I'll be there. You really think so?
Yeah, Josh is running the ball well, and that really opens up everything for Jordan Love in the passing. And the offensive line is getting big holes for him, and I like where they're at. I think this team is getting ready to peak right now, and this is what they did last year when they went to Dallas and beat them in a playoff game. They started really, really getting good about this time of year, and that's what the Packers are all about, and I think that's what you're going to see Thursday night.
Speaking of big gaping holes, I got to go to the big gaping hole man himself, AQ Shipley.
What the hell?
You guys got to watch him on McAfee, and you'll get the reference. But speaking of this Packers team, one of their holes is they haven't beaten some of the best teams. They have lost to the Lions, the Vikings, the Eagles. How do they get over the hump this game and beat their arch rival, the Detroit Lions?
They just got to keep doing what they've been doing. Listen, they have gotten better every single week. Their offensive line has finally settled in. Early in the year, they were doing like a platoon scheme at guards. They've settled in, probably due to the fact that Jordan Morgan had a shoulder injury early in the year that kind of forced them to like stop the platooning because he was out for 4 weeks, and they like what they got. They got camaraderie. They got continuity up front, and they're doing unbelievable things every single week. They run duo heavy 1 week, then the next week they do the spinner around and they're working the counter off it. Then off of that, they're faking the counter and they're running a triple option almost every week. They're just building and building and building off their offensive playbook. Jordan Love has been fantastic. He has continued to get better. He's making less and less mistakes, and defensively they're playing their ass off. I think this team, I think they're going to get one of these signature wins this week.
Wow. Everybody, well, wait. We're going to go to Colt McCoy real quick, but I'm just sensing 2 cheeseheads that we have on the program so far. Colt, Josh Jacobs has been mentioned a few times. Emmanuel Wilson. Chris Brooks even got some carries and some good yardage against the Miami Dolphins. How much does a run game that's effective and led by a guy like Josh Jacobs take pressure off the quarterback and allow him to play a little stress-free maybe?
Yeah, it helps a ton, man. Look, Josh Jacobs' emergence, I say emergence just for how they're using him in the offense. Josh Jacobs is a great player. But like AQ said, the O-line is kind of settled in. And what Josh brings to the table is his ability to always get positive yards. We had another big game against Miami. The ability to throw screens to him, get him involved in a lot of different ways, helps everybody, especially Jordan Love. We know they got weapons to push down the field, and we know Jordan Love takes chances. Like, I love his aggressiveness when he plays football. Josh Jacobs is the X factor. He settles them down. He keeps them on track. What he's brought to this team, he's getting better and better and better. And as Jay hit it, Detroit's struggling, man. They've got injuries everywhere. I think Josh Jacobs is poised to have another big game. And if he does, good luck stopping the Packers.
Well, just like Josh Jacobs, he's the X Factor. You can be the X Factor right now. We're trying to hit 10K subs. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're turning on notifications so when we post state-of-the-art content, when you hear us talking about everything NFC North in the NFL, you are the first to get it. Hit subscribe right now. Jay, the last time these two teams played, the Lions beat the Packers 24-14. It was pouring rain. Jordan Love was a little banged up. What do you think the Green Bay Packers learned from that first game that's going to benefit them in this game Thursday?
I watched that film today. Very interesting. And I think the Packers are going to see the missed opportunities that they had. Dropped a touchdown pass. They dropped a fumbled snap. They gave up a terrible interception where Jordan Love was trying to make something happen and not take a sack, so he threw it right to Detroit. They just had so many opportunities that are very uncharacteristic of what the Green Bay Packers are all about that they're going to say, we didn't even play that good. We're still right there. And I think they understand what their identity is right now. It is Josh Jacobs and the different type of runs that AQ's talking about. And now the play actions off of that, getting the receivers down the field, and the play actions are going to be critical in this game. And I think it's going to be some up-tempo. I think Packers need to do a little bit of up-tempo because the Detroit Lions have so many different parts of their defense that are new. I mean, you start getting in no huddle. They're like, what coverage is it? What are we playing? What's the front? What blitz is it? Do I have a fire zone? I try to make them communicate as much as I can with shifts, motions, and no huddles, really get after the Detroit Lions. And I think the Packers will have a big time day on offense, that is. Defensively, it'll be a little bit tougher because Detroit's offense is so good.
We've been loving up the Packers, but the Detroit Lions, AQ, are on a 10-game winning streak. How does that feel to be on a team? I know you went on a run to the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Bucks. And when you're rolling with that, like that with a team, how does that permeate through the locker room? And do you just truly feel unbeatable? Like there's no one on planet Earth that can slow you guys down?
I'll give a little insight into these locker rooms whenever you go on these runs. I went 13-3 in 2015. And of those 13 wins, you would have thought we lost every one of those games. I think coaches do a very good job of, when they know you're good and when they know you're on a roll, of trying to hammer the details, even the minute ones, because they want you to not rest on your laurels. They don't want you to get too comfortable and feel too good about yourself. And then you start to relax a little bit. And that's when these losses start to creep in. Some of these bad habits start to creep in. So I think the good ones, whenever you're rolling like this, they're even harder on the details. They're even looking for things to kind of hammer home on. And so I think, looking at this Detroit Lion team and the way that they've been able to, you see what Jahmyr Gibbs did this week and, let everybody in on some of the protection calls and stuff like that. Dan Campbell handled it well in the media. Behind closed doors, I guarantee you, it was a lot different conversation, right? And so whenever those things happen, you start to kind of rein everybody back in, and you're going to work every day almost like scared, like, man, I gotta really be on my T's and P's this week because I don't want coach to get after me. And I think that's probably what these Detroit Lions teams, and I think that's what a lot of the good teams end up doing.
That's a great point you brought up, AQ. Jay, I don't know if you saw this, and I want to ask as a head coach how you would handle it. Jahmyr Gibbs posted something on social media, and he's doing something where behind him on the whiteboard, all of the code words are up. As a head coach, how big of a factor is that going into a game against a division rival with the Green Bay Packers?
Well, it's a big factor if Green Bay can figure out what they mean, because it's a pain in the ass, quite frankly, to come up with these names and these words for these plays. We used to number 10 plays, Turbo 1, Turbo 2. Everybody memorized 1 through 10. Then he had code words for 2 minute and all that stuff. And I can remember playing a Baltimore Ravens when I was coordinator with the Bengals, and we audible to a quick screen, and it was a dead ball. And about the next quarter, we audible to the same quick screen. And Terrell Suggs almost picked it off, and he looked at me and goes, "You better change your words." So it's, once they get the words down, the defenses aren't stupid. They pay attention. They try to get as much information as they can as well. So yes, it is a problem. It is a pain in the ass, but hopefully Green Bay doesn't figure out what they meant.
Well, I remember when we cut a quarterback and he was signed by actually the Detroit Lions the very next week, and we had to change all of our codes, and we nicknamed it all like that player's last name and that set of codes. So as soon as you start messing with one or two of the codes and it throws everything off, they're going to be all right. Colt, back to the quarterbacks. Jared Goff, Jordan Love, who's playing better football? Who would you rather have on your team right now? There's one point Goff was, getting MVP conversations. Who do you got and why?
Sheesh, both these guys are playing great. But Jared Goff is playing at a really high level. I mean, you can tell that he is an extension of what they're trying to do on offense, from practice, from the coach, from the play. Like, he's got full command of everything that's going on. He's got weapons around Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Laporta. These guys are dialed. When you look at the entirety of the year, Jared Goff is balling. Jordan Love is also fun to watch. He's getting better. He had some injuries. It looks like he's getting a little bit healthier. The difference between Jared Goff and Jordan Love is the turnovers. Right, Jared Goff just doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, he's hardly had any this year.
If we took out that one game where I think he threw 5 picks in a game, but that was
it's an anomaly,
outlier.
Though.
Yeah,
shut up, Justin.
I knew Gruden was going to jump in and throw except for one game.
One was on a Hail Mary, one was a tip ball. I mean, relax.
And that's the sign of a good team, right? They still figured out a way to win the game. Jordan Love is good. He's been good for a pick or two every game. And when you go into a situation like this, if Green Bay wants to win this game, which I think they got a very great shot at, according to Jay and AQ, the turnovers is what it's going to come down to. They're playing on the road. It's going to be loud. There's a lot of communication. Like the little, flicking it before you run out of bounds, hitting the dude in the chest for a touch. Like, that stuff's got to go. Because I do think Jordan Love has great command, just like Jared. They're getting better and better. Lean on Josh Jacobs. But overall, I mean, just week in and week out, the way Jared Goff approaches each week and what they're doing on offense, it's pretty incredible.
Jay, is there anything you want to add? Because I know you're just chomping at the bit over there.
No, I just think Jared Goff has had an MVP type year. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's unbelievable. And Jordan Love is an up-and-comer, but right now, Jared Goff has had a much better year. But this game is going to be interesting because I think really, Detroit's still going to try to feature the run with Gibbs and Montgomery pound it. And same thing with Green Bay. So a lot of people are going to say this should be a high-scoring game. It may not. It may be a ball possession game. A lot of 10-play, 80-yard drives that eat up 7 minutes. It's going to be an interesting way both these teams attack. I think it's going to be you better take care of your offensive possessions. You better get points per possession in this game to have a chance to win.
Yeah, that's a great point. The other thing that jumped off the tape to me last week, I went back and watched the Lions play the Bears. It's just like fourth quarter offense. They kind of stalled out. They didn't do anything. They let Chicago get back into the game. Like that's one thing that you can't do against a good team like Green Bay. They can score at any point. I mean, Jordan Love can signal a go ball outside or a big post if he sees quarters, and it's a one-play drive. So Detroit's ability to just go, like if you throw the knockout punch, don't let them hang around, because if you let them hang around, I mean, they almost got beat by the Bears last week. They can't do that this week.
Yeah, I think one more thing to add on that too is I think when you look at the Houston game and when you look at last week's game, there's one commonality in that. Taylor Decker out, long-time left tackle for the Detroit Lions. Out of both those games, they're relying on Dan Skipper. Dan Skipper, amazing six lineman. They love bringing him in with all the big packages and all that stuff. But when he's a starting left tackle, you got to throw a lot more chip help his way. He's not as good as a Taylor Decker, right? And so those two games are the games that they've struggled the most, I think, in my opinion, right? And so when you look at that, I think the one common factor in that is Taylor Decker being out. So watch that. Want to win money watching football? With Underdog, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash just by picking higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, like whether or not your team's running back will score a touchdown this weekend. Millions of fans have won billions of dollars on Underdog. Will you be next? Sign up now to get a free pick for your first cash entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Download the Underdog app or visit UnderdogFantasy.com to get started today.
So, Jay, you're going Green Bay?
I'm going Green Bay, man. I just feel Green Bay's ascending right now. And Detroit, offensively, they'll be fine. Gibbs fumbled at the 2-yard line last week. They got that penalty that kicked them out of field goal range. They missed another field goal, so their offense is going to be fine. But I just think Green Bay will get a couple stops and win the ball game.
Yeah, same Green Bay. I think Detroit's too beat up on the defensive side of the ball. And, I think Green Bay's starting to roll. I think on both sides of the ball, they're starting to roll. I just think it's too much to overcome with how many injuries they got on defense.
Is Taylor Decker playing?
Is that going to impact your decision, Colt?
Really, Colt?
AQ's got me all thinking about that, because that does make a big difference. But listen, it's hard for me to bet against a team that's won 10 games in a row. I'm sticking with Detroit. They're at home. They've got all the offensive weapons available. Jared Goff, this offense is rolling now. Their defense is suspect. I don't know if they can stop them, but I could see this easily being a 42-37 type game, and I'm going with Detroit at home. Lots to play for in this NFC North.
A lot to play for. I'm looking up the injury report. He did miss practice today, so it's not looking great for Decker. I think the Detroit Lions are winning this game. I don't know what we're talking about. The Lions have been toying with everybody. They're throwing Penei Sewell is throwing end-around passes against the Chicago Bears. I think there's just a lack of respect there. They are going into this Packers game knowing they're getting a healthy Jordan Love. Green Bay's at 100%. You turn on the film, Green Bay is doing a lot of great things. The Lions are going to come ready for this one at home. This is a playoff-type atmosphere. Dan Campbell is going to have his team rolling. The Lions win this one. I don't know what jersey I'm going to wear. I'll be there screaming like a madman, though.
Yeah, we're talking quarterbacks, too. We're talking Jordan Love. We're talking Jared Goff. This game's going to come down to running the football. Green Bay's got Josh Jacobs. Detroit's got Gibbs and Montgomery, the 1-2 punch, best in the league. That's where this game is going to be decided and determined. And I think what Detroit has been doing consistently all year is having those two guys play great, and I see them doing it again.
And I'm taking Detroit's O-line over Green Bay's. Me and AQ were talking a little bit offline, and he had some good scheme analogies, or back and forth. But I think Detroit's got the better offensive line. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, if he got 80% of the touches, he could be the best running back, maybe besides Saquon Barkley in the NFL. Every time he touched it, he's a home run threat. So mark it down, Lions, Gruden. I want you to tell me you're right, Justin. That's all I want.
Maybe one day I will, Justin. You just got to be right once.
Hey, I'm working on it. Got to strive for something.